Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Jason Alexander, and welcome to my first video. A little background on me: I'm 26. I live in Brooklyn, New York with my beautiful spouse and our 2 cats. I am a graphic designer / UI designer professionally, but I am an aspiring concept artist and I'm hoping to work in the video game and or animation industry. I've always liked drawing since I was little. I've been drawing for a very long time, but and as I started to get older, I started to fall in love with other things like photography and graphic design, and I kind of felt like maybe I wouldn't be able to actually make it as an artist, kind of the classic story. And so I kind of went that direction instead of what I maybe truly actually wanted to do all this time, which was to be an artist. So here I am at 26. I really started at 24, trying to make this thing work and maybe become a concept artist someday in the near future. So that's me. I love YouTube. I love watching YouTube, and I wanted to document this. So I wanted to take you guys on this journey with me as I started to get into the phase of trying to build up my portfolio and apply for jobs, and trying to make it maybe any way I can. So starting off with this 50 character challenge. All the way, I'm gonna walk you through my experience taking on this 50 character challenge. I just made this up and arbitrarily decided that I was gonna do it, but I'm probably not the first person to do something like this or to come up with something like this. It's kind of loosely based on the pretty popular 100 heads challenge that you see a lot of people doing. Let me know in the comments if you've seen someone do something like this before. I would love to know if other people are doing things like this so I can look at their videos and reference that. What are the rules? I want to try to design 50 characters in 2 weeks. So that's 14 days with breaks on the weekends. So that's 10 days of drawing total. Which nets out to about 5 characters a day. These characters can be animals, humans, creatures, whatever I want. I just want to try to get the full body as much as possible. Other than that, did not really set any rules for myself. That's pretty much it. So there's no restrictions on how rendered it has to be, how sketchy or messy the drawing is. It can be in any style that I want, and I'll talk about that a little more later. But I really just want to get ideas of characters out of my brain and onto the page. That's the main focus here. Let's get started drawing, and I will tell you a little bit more about why I'm even doing this. Welcome to the voiceover portion of the video. For those curious, I'm using my Huion Canvas 16-inch 2021 display tablet. I have a custom PC, Photoshop, and I also use a Wacom Express Key remote. And that's how I did all of these drawings pretty much. So to start off, I usually also like to get a little inspiration. So you can see I'm looking at some Shiun Kim drawings here just to get in the headspace. So for context, I didn't decide I was doing this video until halfway through the challenge because I wasn't sure if I'd finish it or not. So you're only going to see the latter half of the challenge here, starting around 35-ish characters, but I will be sure to include screen grabs of all 50 characters. So yeah. I want to just start off by talking about why I'm even doing this. Reason number 1 is to build my character design and ideation skills. So I've been doing this for about 2 years. I started taking some independent online courses, with CGMA, and
I feel like in that time, I've just been making a lot of progress with art fundamentals, but not really creating and designing from an original place, which in theory is the whole meat of the design work, to be creative and express yourself. And how you draw and the way that you draw is ultimately just a tool to express ideas and design thoughts. So personally, I've been sorely lacking in that department. So that's reason number one, to give myself the opportunity and space to focus on being creative in a way that's productive, especially productive to the field I want to go into, without being beholden to a lot of the little extra details that come at the end of the design process that really can weigh me down. So that's reason number one. And reason number two is I want to build my portfolio. Recently I saw an internship application pop up for a job that I, might really want to try. And when I just was like, maybe I should think about it, I went to pull together all of my art from the last 2 years, and I was like pretty distraught. I put everything together and I looked at what I had, and it just felt really weak and like I had nothing to show for all of the hard work I'd been putting in up to this point. I was studying so much that I forgot to make my own art. So I had maybe 1 or 2 pieces that I was happy to put in my portfolio. So I did this as sort of a booster to try to give myself some fresh raw material to turn into portfolio ready work. So how did it go? As of today, it's a few days after I finished the challenge, and overall I think things went really well, a lot better than I expected. When I caught a cold in the middle and I struggled to draw for a few days, I still came out with 50 drawings. And personally, I already knew I had an issue with consistency. So it has almost never been like 5 drawings every day. It's really like an ebb and flow where I'll have bad days where it could be 1 or 2 or 3 drawings at most. And then other days where I can crank out up to like 8 or 9 really solid feeling ideas. And I think on average, it's probably around like 7 drawings when I would sit down to do a session. And I really tried to draw every day, but some days I was not able to yield as many, especially when I was sick. So in terms of like how it went during the challenge, my process was really simple. I just decided to sit down at my desk, and usually, like I showed earlier, I try to find some inspiration or reference or something to start with to help me come up with ideas. And sometimes the idea will stem from shape or silhouette or like a character archetype, like elf or like librarian or something like that. And then I start to sketch that out with lines and build the basic shape of that person, usually with the classic like head shape with a sphere and triangle for the head. Or I might do a quick gesture sketch, which is probably low-key the way that you should do this, is to try to sketch out the whole body if you want to get the full body, and just build a silhouette on top of that gesture. I keep pushing and constructing the figure, thinking about clothes and stuff like that, and expression and details until I reached a point that was satisfying enough that I would decide to move on. Usually that would be 5 minutes, but sometimes it takes like 20 or 30 minutes to get to that point. And then, sometimes I'd have to just redraw the whole pose entirely. It was really up to me, how I decided to do it, and I really took a loose approach to the whole thing. So in terms of quality, what does that mean for each of the drawings? It came out pretty inconsistent. And, part of the challenge actually was for me to find a style that I felt comfortable and effective with. In character design, from what I've heard, you have to really be adaptable to the project that you're working on. But I know a lot of people have a very unique and specific style that feels very them. And I just wanted something to be able to be comfortable with and fall back on. So I did find out during this exercise that I'm a lot more comfortable with a style that is, in my opinion, better suited to the gaming industry versus the style of character design that is used in animation, like Disney and DreamWorks, really can tend to use a lot of pushed shapes and proportions, which is really different from how I draw most of the time. So I found a lot of my drawings where I'm attempting a more animation pushed design, for me, tend to fall flat. And the more semi-realistic proportion, gamery style design stuck out to me as more successful and, ultimately having a better finish quality when I was done with them. In retrospect, how did the challenge go at the end of it? So was I successful in doing the challenge? Well, yeah. I drew 50 characters in 2 weeks, but they, of course, aren't completed designs, and most of them need a lot of tweaking to be something that might be very helpful for a type of production. But I made the 50 drawings in 14 days, which is the original goal that I set out to do. And did it help me? Did I accomplish my original goals? So yes, I was able to build those design and ideation skills, at least I hope so, a little bit. It helped me work on the ability to come up with a character design rather quickly, but the character design obviously goes a lot deeper than that when you're doing it in a professional setting. So I didn't improve those really deep skills like, making sure props and costume and storytelling are very important and centric and serve the story that they're a part of. Those minute details, I really didn't work on those, but I definitely improved at sketching rough ideas, shapes, silhouettes, and I do think I grew a lot there. I can definitely tell that there's a major difference, in my opinion, from the first design I started with to the last one. So yeah. And then did I end up building my portfolio? Yes, in a way. This is going to sound like a weird answer because none of these drawings, in my opinion, for my standard of what I want in my portfolio, are self-sufficient and could be put into the portfolio right now. Like, they all need work. But I now have 50 original character ideas that I can pull from and play with and push to build and create a portfolio piece. So it's like I completed step 1 of 50 different valid projects that can go in a portfolio within the span of 2 weeks, which feels really good to do and have. It's like if I was a musician creating demos and I went and recorded 50 demos in 2 weeks. Some of them might not be that good at first, and a lot of them might get thrown out, but it's a lot easier to start writing an album when you have 50 demos in the vault than it is to start from zero. Do I recommend anyone else do this challenge? Should you do this? Maybe. It depends on you and your goals for your art. If you're in a situation like me and you're trying to become a concept artist and you've been studying, but you take a look back to realize that you don't have the pieces that you would like in your portfolio, this could be a good first step for you to get a lot of ideas and original thoughts that come straight from you onto paper and get the feeling of designing more characters under your hands. But there is the caveat that this probably won't yield a finished portfolio for you, right? It'll contribute to it, but you're not going to come out with maybe even any finished pieces unless you treat it differently than how I've done it. And as far as logistically or the challenge of doing this 50 character challenge, logistically, you can probably tell from the results and the actual amount of days that this goes for, but it's not that tough compared to something like Inktober, where you have to be really consistent for a full month with sometimes people are doing a very high quality drawing, or the 100 Heads challenge where you have to draw 10 in it one day, which can be a lot more dense. So I would recommend this as a really nice chill art challenge in between some of the others, because you can do as much or as little as you want. And when you break it down, 5 kind of rough sketches in a day isn't really that difficult. And I did often decide to do 7 to 8 or more. And if you want to adapt this and do something like environments, or you want to come up with, tighter finishes, I would recommend decreasing the volume maybe if you don't have the time to like something like 1 to 3 a day. But otherwise, this really felt like quite a mild challenge for me personally, and I'd recommend it to anyone who wants to try it. And what now? So what happens next? Well, I'm going to take these sketches and start coming up with more finished character drawings. I'll do more iteration sketches, add value or tone and color, and expression sheets, maybe even a turnaround, though those are kind of like controversial as a portfolio piece. And, I'll come out with some finished characters and portfolio pieces over the next few weeks and maybe even months. So let me know if you want to see some of that process. But overall, should you do this challenge? Yeah, I think if you really want to, I think it's a great, fun, nice, light, laid-back challenge especially for people who are wanting to become character designers. I think it's really, really nice. All right, and I'm gonna let the screen recording just play for the rest of the time here, and I'll catch up with you guys at the end.
And that's it. I really had a lot of fun doing this challenge. I'll probably do some more challenges like this in the future and maybe even toughen this one up a little bit. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I have a lot of ideas for this channel. I have a lot of thoughts on where it could go. So let me know if you like this video. Like it, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time and we'll draw something together. Thank you so much for watching, and good night.